Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the top boss for the upcoming season, for season 26 of the Go Battle League. And of course, today we're going to take a look at the best Pokemon that didn't get buffed directly, but going to be stronger for the upcoming season. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, we're going to take a look at 10 Pokemon that are going to be stronger now that didn't receive any update. But of course, there are a lot of updates in the meta itself, which are going to allow those Pokemon to shine a little bit more. And let's dive right into it. We're going to have here, as our number one Pokemon, Drapion. Drapion is mostly the most obvious one that you've seen already on the new ranking. If you've seen the new ranking, this Pokemon is currently at number 73 for the Great League, but now it's going to be at number 10, and that's a ginormous jump. Why? Because this Pokemon is only going to have one singular weakness, which is the ground typing, which is quite common with the Mud Slappers around. But Mud Slap is going to get nerfed this season by decreasing the power level from 12 to 11, which directly in the matchups most likely itself against Drapion don't really matter that much, but they're going to be less common because they're going to be less desirable because over a long period of time, the -1 damage is actually going to impact quite a lot of those ground type Pokemon and they're all going to be gone. Mudshot, of course, got buffed at the same breath as well, but Mudshot itself is not doing the damage that Mud Slap is going to, so like it's not going to farm down a Drapion. And against ground type Pokemon itself, a Drapion is going to have access to Awkward Tail, which is giving it perfect coverage for the only weakness that this Pokemon has. So like Drapion is going to be one of the best safe subs. It's going to be super safe. It's going to be very tough to deal with, and generally a Pokemon that you have to be a bit aware of because this thing is going to be definitely top meta for the upcoming season. It's going to be super strong. And let's move on to the second Pokemon of this list, which is Wigglytuff. Okay, like this is also kind of an interesting one. Like this is kind of the case because mainly Bastion is gone. Like Bastion got nerfed quite significantly. Scissor is nerfed quite significantly as well, which by the way helps Drapion out as well. So like there are quite a few nerfs basically that help out the Wigglytuff quite a bit. The Rock Tomb got a bit nerfed as well, like for Credilli, which is generally not the best matchup for Wigglytuff, is going to be kind of a bit better. So like otherwise you have Pokemon like with Twister, like Shelgon is now being in the meta. Wigglytuff is going to enjoy this. Loki got buffed. Wigglytuff going to enjoy this. Like basically a lot of the things currently are looking very promising for Wigglytuff to be one of the strongest Pokemon yet again in the Great League, and we see it in the ranking. This Pokemon is eventually going to end up number 1 spot at this point. It's getting buffed basically every single season, so yeah, Wigglytuff is a Pokemon absolutely worth trying. It's so strong right now. It's going to be even better in the next season. So yeah, this Pokemon is absolutely insane. By the way, here like a ranking increase by 3 at this stage is insane. Like it's insane. Like it's a ginormous update for this Pokemon. It's already at number 9. It's already super strong, and now it goes up to number 6, which is kind of wild. Wigglytuff is going to be a Pokemon that you're definitely going to see more often, even more often now for the upcoming season, even though it's everywhere already. A Pokemon that you mostly don't see that often, but now had quite a significant buff and now the top 200 is going to be Hypno. And I kind of want to just still take a look at this Pokemon because there are a lot of things that benefit Hypno, which I feel like might be interesting for a lot of people as well to consider this Pokemon. Because what kind of happened is, Mud Slap and whatever, that doesn't really affect this Pokemon directly, or does it? Basically, Hypno had the issue that you don't really have enough charge move slots to fit all of the charge moves that this Pokemon has. It has the Elemental Punches, it has Psy Shock, it has the Shadow Ball. But basically now, where Mud Slap kind of got nerfed, all of the ground types are kind of a bit more disappearing. It allows you to not really needing to run the Ice Punch anymore in order to hit them for super effective damage, and you can rather focus on Shadow Ball, which recently got buffed. It has great coverage and is one of the strongest moves in the game, and gives you even more coverage against like Annihilate, for example, against the Galarian Weezing, which generally would be a bad matchup for yourself. You'll have also now access to Thunder Punch, which is going to help you out against all the flying type Pokemon that are now going to appear, as we have the Wing Attack update, and also then we have the Low Kick update, which Hypno also going to enjoy quite a bit. So basically, this Pokemon itself, it didn't really get the biggest buff in any kind of way, like even in the meta itself, but with like those kind of nerfs that happened, it actually kind of enjoys them quite a bit. Also, again, the Scissor nerf is going to be quite nice for this Pokemon because before Scissor was a very tough matchup. So Hypno actually is going to have a bit more play next season. I could still see that Ice Punch has some potential on this Pokemon, like with like the flying type Pokemon as well, but Thunder Punch is going to give you coverage as well against the Empoleon, which usually would be a bit more of an awkward update. Speaking of Empoleon here, Empoleon is going to be one of the top Pokemon as well for the upcoming meta, and it's going to be even stronger. I don't even have to really explain it, I already talked about it. Mud-Step nerf. That's basically all that really needed to happen here in order to make this Pokemon even stronger. Mud-Shot, of course, being buffed can be a bit difficult for this Pokemon, but generally speaking, you have very good pacing on this Pokemon already. In a lot of cases, it's going to be fine. Stunfisk got nerfed a little bit, which is usually a tougher matchup, as Mud Bomb is now going to be weaker, which is going to be great. And just generally speaking, like, this Pokemon is still going to be super, super strong. It got maybe even buffed with Waterfall. We don't know yet. P-Poke says it's 9 energy. I do think it's going to be 10 energy. And then even Waterfall Empoleon could be a thing as well. But even without any of those, Metal Sound Empoleon is going to be even stronger next season, being now at number 5, having basically all the counters removed the entire time. Like, this Pokemon was not buffed anytime recently. Okay, yeah, Drill Pick got a little bit of a change or whatever, but like nothing crazy happened to this Pokemon. It's just slowly getting up to close to number 1 because all of the Pokemon that are strong against it got nerfed in the meantime. And that's kind of ridiculous. So, like, yeah, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be, yeah, Empoleon with the, insane charge moveset of Drill Pick and Hydro Cannon. I talked about it before in multiple videos on why this moveset is so overpowered. Because it counters 2 of the 3 weaknesses of this Pokemon with super effective damage with fighting and ground. And then, yeah, you have the electric type weakness, which, again, not a lot of electric type Pokemon are around. So, yeah, this thing is kind of insane. It's going to be even stronger next season. Sableye. Sableye apparently is going to be a bit better as well, and we kind of need to talk about why. Because look at this, like, it's going to be ranked up by 9 ranks, and I said before already, in this high ranking system, having going up 9 ranks is actually quite insane. But then you have to kind of think, why is this the case? Like, you can argue with the coverage that you have here. Power Gem is going to be amazing against the upcoming flying types with a Wing Attack update. You're going to have, of course, Psycho Cut being boosted. With Psycho Cut, you're going to be double resisted. You're going to be able to deal very well with a Pokemon like Cresselia that uses this, or the Medicham, which recently only added into the meta. So, like, this is more study why this Pokemon is so good. But what is also kind of always funny is, as soon as Wigglytuff gets kind of buffed without getting buffed directly, Sableye goes up the ranks as well. It's kind of, they're both really stuck together. Like, Wigglytuff basically the hardest answer to the Sableye. But Sableye, both Shadow as well as non-Shadow, are going to be insane for this meta. So definitely try to build one, get yourself one. It's going to be very good just with the coverage it has with the Pokemon that you're going to be able to beat. It beats the Fighting types, beats the Psychic types, beats the Ghost types currently. It's a very good Pokemon in the current meta. And it's the Dark type that doesn't rely on Night Slash, which of course got nerfed. Toxapex is going to be next. Quite self-explanatory why this Pokemon is better now. It's a Water type that lost against Bastion usually because of Brine not being a strong move. And it's a Water type that has, of course, the big weakness against those Mud Slappers. And this is something that, of course, now is going to change, as Mud Slap is going to be kind of nerfed. This Pokemon here has now way more potential. So Toxapex is definitely going to be one of those Pokemon that's going to be more common, more used, and I do think it's already a very good Pokemon that's super underrated. It's basically like a Water-type Bastion, and people are not really using it. And I do think it's going to be so much better next season. There's not really anything why this Pokemon wouldn't be stronger and wouldn't be very, very overpowered. I do think this Pokemon is definitely something you can use quite easily, especially because you're going to be able to destroy Wigglytuff with it, a Pokemon that's going to be super common. So if someone is running Wigglytuff in the lead and you have the Toxapex in the lead, you can destroy it. If someone has Wigglytuff in the back and you have the Toxapex in the back, you're going to be able to completely just farm it down. And that is kind of the cool thing here. You're so neutral, you have so much bulk on this Pokemon, and now the biggest weakness is kind of gone for this thing as well. It's going to be definitely way, way stronger. Same goes for Solrock, and that is something that they maybe didn't really expect on the list here today. But Solrock is a Pokemon that has fantastic coverage. You have Psywave, the Weather Ball Fire, as well as Rock Slide. Weather Ball Fire as a coverage is always amazing, especially for a Psychic and Rock type Pokemon that's going to be super weak against the Steel typing, as both moves are going to be resisted against it and Steel is super effective against you. Weather Ball Fire is going to help you out quite a bit. Same goes for the weakness to Bug types, as well as the weakness to Grass types. Both of which are going to be, like, all of them are going to be kind of weak to the fire typing. So you have coverage for the main weaknesses of this Pokemon. And that's kind of fantastic. And this is why Solrock is really good. But of course, again, we had a lot of Pokemon that were good against Solrock as well. It would lose against Bastion. It would completely lose against Scissor, unless you have an energy advantage there with the Weather Ball Fire. And basically, you're going to have shields down. Then you have a chance there. But in 2 shields, no way you do anything against the Scissor. You lose against the Mud Slappers. You have a lot of kind of weaknesses. But now this Pokemon is going to be free. A lot of the weaknesses are going to be gone, but also it's going to be matching up better against the current meta. As low kick got buffed, of course, against fighting types, you're going to be good. And of course, the flying type buff is going to help you out quite a bit as well, as you're going to be a rock type that's going to be able to deal with them. And so I feel like Solrock is going to be a Pokemon that is going to actually have quite a bit of potential for the upcoming season. The issue is there are quite still a lot of Dark-type Pokemon that are very solid, like the Sableye we saw already earlier, the Melima that we also not going to see here today, but it is definitely going to be a Pokemon you're going to see quite often. But you're also still going to have third with coverage, you have the Jerson, which is going to be a bit of an issue, but Solrock itself definitely going to be more usable and more interesting for the upcoming season. And now we're going to take a look at Togekiss. And I found this quite interesting, why this Pokemon goes from 75 all the way up to 18. That is going to be quite a bit of an increase. This Pokemon has the potential to break the Empoleon Altaria core, which is going to be one of the main benefits of Togekiss. It's a very good Pokemon just generally, can be kind of a bit toxic as well though, but has great coverage with the moves of Peck, Psyshock, and then the Outer Sphere. For especially the current meta, if you have energy up, which you usually use this Pokemon as a save swap, this Pokemon is actually fantastic. So you still can use, for example, ground type in the lead, this Pokemon as a save swap, and then another flyer in the back, which would work out quite well in the current meta as well. So Togekiss itself, very likely going to be better against like the, of course, with a low kick buff, it's going to be kind of nice. There is of course the Mud Shot buff as well, which is still going to give you some of the ground types. But I do think that the main reason why this Pokemon is better is the Scissor nerf, as well as then the Bastion nerf as well. Kind of Bastion, you had potential of course with Aura Sphere against Scissor, you would knock it out with the Aura Sphere as well. You would win the Zero Shields against definitely the Scissor. But generally speaking, Togekiss is now way safer. A lot of the hard enters are going to be gone, and this makes this Pokemon so much better to use for the upcoming season. Bronzong. Again, kind of self-explanatory, but this Pokemon actually has quite a bit of potential right now. This is the second to last Pokemon of this video as well. Of course, if you enjoyed this so far, I would really appreciate it if you leave a like. But this Pokemon is kind of literally fitting perfectly into the meta. I think it's a Pokemon that you should really actually try out. You have with Confusion, Weather Ball, Water, as well as Payback, fantastic coverage for this Pokemon. Hitting nearly all the types currently for super effective or neutral damage is going to be amazing. As Rumor, you're not going to be able to hit with your Charge Move set, but you're still going to win because of the type that you have itself and your bulk that you have and the fast move damage that you have. But look at how much better this Pokemon is now. The thing is here though, like if you see on the right side, like, you win against a lot of the Pokemon, it's going to be so much better against most of the recent buffs. Like we have the Wing Attack buff. Again, you're going to be very good against it. You have the Dragon type buff, with Twister being the main thing that got buffed. You're going to be able to resist all the Dragon type damage. You're going to have Low Kick, which got buffed. You're going to do super effective damage against those Fighting type Pokemon. You have very fast charge move coverage there with the Weather Ball. There are some Fire type moves that got buffed as well with the Heat Wave. You're going to be able to beat a Fire type Pokemon even with a Steel type. With Payback, you're going to be able to deal with the Ghost-type Pokemon and the Psychic-type Pokemon that got buffed. It is fantastic in the meta, and it doesn't have to go up against Bastion, which generally is an okay matchup, especially in the 2 shields with the Weather Ball Water recently, but still they have Flamethrower against you. But you also don't have to go up against those Mud Slappers anymore, which were like kind of very difficult matchups. So Bronzong, out of all the Pokemon, is actually fantastic. Like, it's honestly really, really good. You just have to cover up the weakness that you have against those dark types, which you can do, for example, with a Wigglytuff. Then you can, for example, play something like Bronzong lead, Wigglytuff as a closer, and then the Pokemon as a save-swap that also works out quite well with a Wigglytuff. Whatever Pokemon it's going to be, but you can basically even sacrifice your Bronzong in the lead if there's going to be like a Fire type in the back, like in the lead against the opponent. If you have, for example, a Talonflame in the lead, you're still going to be able to go for the Weather Ball Water against it and pressure shields early, maybe even win the matchup. And this is the thing for Bronzong. This Pokemon actually matches up really well against the current meta, and I do think this Pokemon is definitely going to see some play in the upcoming season. And the final Pokemon is not too surprising, Weezing. Galarian Weezing. Well, okay, maybe it's surprising for people who are not aware of the meta itself right now, but against the current meta, Weezing is fitting perfectly into place as well. Well, of course, losing against most likely that Bronzong is there, this Pokemon goes up to rank 22. That's a ginormous rating increase, because again, we have low kick increase, which is going to be helping out with the fairy typing here, of course, fairy poison, double resisting the fighting type damage. Against the psychic type boost, you're going to still have brutal swing as a coverage, but against the Medicham, you're going to win no matter what. Against the Wigglytuff, which is already buffed, we're going to be a very good answer towards it. We don't have to deal with Mud Slap anymore, we don't have to deal with Bastion anymore, we don't have to deal with Scissor anymore. Weezing is literally here in a perfect position to be a top meta Pokemon for the upcoming season without anybody really noticing, and that is going to be it for this video. I think this is actually a great video, so like, it's going to show you a lot of Pokemon that you can especially utilize early on in order to gain a lot of rankings there as well. And I will definitely give some of those a try as well, because I'm kind of hyped for the season now with those kind of buffs here towards this Pokemon. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I will see you then in another video later on. Bye bye.